This is a drastic example of her innocence. At last, she leaves Yokio because he broke her promise and he which he leaves in her room. And let's look at the character Yokio. Yokio is the husband of Sue, and he is lazy. He can be easily persuaded, and he is very innocent, and he is the protagonist of the character after Sue. And he doesn't do any works, and he lies by the fire and doses, and he gets the money for to live from the clothes woven by the senbaori woven by Sue, and he sells it in the market, and he uh, runs his life by using that money, and he loves his wife unconditionally. And at the beginning, he seems to be as a simple caring husband. Later on, and later he considers the value of Senbaori and becomes very money oriented. And he got convinced by his vulgar villainous friends Sodo and Unsu. Ha ha ha! Stay here. I'll play with you. This line shows the uh, relationship between uh, him and the children, and this also reveals that he also have a good attitude and qualities. Oh dear, I almost forgot. Whole soup is no good for my sweetheart. And this line shows the devotion and uh, loving nature of Yokio uh, on Sue. And cold soup might make her sick, and he knows that. And later on, Sodo and Unzo persuades him to earn money by selling the Senba Ori, and for living a good life with Sue. Uh, Sodo's and Unzo's main idea is uh, to earn money for their life, not for Yokio. And at first, Yokio seems like he's strongly admiring the love of Sue, but later on, he's convinced by the idea of better life and money and materialism. And Yokio wants to go to Kyoto, and he asks Sue to be another Senbaori, and he threatens her that he would leave her. This clearly portrays the sudden and drastical change of Yokio's simple life into a money-oriented, materialistic life. Yes, you see, so no one can be indifferent to money. This line clearly portrays the effect inside Yokio caused by Sodo and Unsu. He is haunted by the concept of money can buy anything. Later, he also calls Sue as a cross woman and commands her to weave the cloth. And this shows that the money is speaking in front of Yokio, in the form of Yokio. And Yokio is an example for that the people can do worse things, even to their most beloved ones, when they consider the materialistic values. Let's look at the character of Sodo and Unzu. Sodo and Unzu are the antagonists of the play. Sodo seems like he's the leader of uh, those two, and Unzu seems like a sidekick. And they are the representative of the materialistic and money-minded world in this drama. They are the villainous characters, and they are the people who ruin the Yokio's peaceful and simple life. And they doesn't see the sacrifice in weaving the senbaori. They only see the money haunted perspective, and they use Yokio's ignorance and innocence to earn money, and they also use the love of Yokio and on Sue to persuade him. You poor idiot! If you get a lot of if you get a lot of profit from it, your wife and you would be pleased too, right? I'd be your better your wife would be pleased too. And these utterances from Sodo and Unzu clearly shows that they are poisoning Yohio's mind by inserting the concept of good uh, and good living by making money by selling the Senbaori. And they are also using the love and passion of Yohio. And later on, Sodo gives an idea of Yokio, which is to threaten Su. And Sodo and Unzu are jealous of the comfortable life of Yokio as Su uh, comfortable life of Yokio. As Su leaves Yokio at the last, Sodo and Unzu lose their possible profit by selling Senbauri. Let's look at the character children. Children appear in the few part of the play and they appear as a cameo role here, and they seems like they always sing and play all the day, and the children are the symbol of innocence and uh, playful attitude here. They have a good relationship between Sue and Yokio, and they always play and they always ask Sue and Yokio to play the games like Kagome Kagome, Nengana, and Run Sheep Run, like that. And they always love to play with both of them. And this play clearly shows that the materialistic value, how the materialistic attitudes and materialistic ideas uh, uh, ruins the simplicity and the love and the affection of two husband and wife. And those two characters, Sodo and Unso, are the representative of the money-minded society, and those two are the people who ruin the Su's and Yokio's simple and peaceful life. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you, Devigan, for your great presentation. I think it would be a example for the junior students, including me. Next, I would like to call Tarania to do her presentation on the topic the eagle.
Good evening to you all. I'm going to present about the poem The Eagle. It was written by Alfred Tennyson. He had lived in Victoria. This poem consists two stanzas. He is considered as youthful master of master of rhyme, imagery, and brilliance of that era. Uh, this is an first-hand experience the poet had got because he had been a nature lover during that era. We all know eagle is a predatory bird and it flies very fast to catch its prey. It has a sharp true eyesight. Now we analyze this poem. Now we look at the first line. The poet starting this line by the word he. Here we can easily understand. Normally we use the words it or that to describe the animals or birds. But here Tennyson used the masculine pronoun he. So we call this technique is personification. Personification is a literary device that refers to the projection of human characteristics onto inanimate the objects in create to in order to create imagery. Uh, Here the Tennyson gives male human beings to the eagle. Here the male suggests that the strength of the eagle. Um, the Dixon crack means the risky of the mountain. We all know eagle's hands are very ugly and it is crooked hands. But with his crooked hands, he called him the mountains very tightly. Now we look at the second line. The second line is close to the sun in lonely lands. This line suggests the height of the eagle. Here the praise lonely land suggests there is no one to see, there are no creatures around that bird. And here the poet says the eagle is very close to the sun. So we understand that poet wants to exaggerate the position of the eagle. And we look stands. Here, the Tennyson use the another human beings by the word stands. We all know we use the word stands to describe the humans, but here Tennyson used that word to describe the eagle. And he says the azure world means the around world of the eagle, that is blue sky. So the eagle is surrounded with the blue sky. And the first stanza says the eagle is top of the mountain. The second stanza says the eagle is the bottom. It is situated at the bottom of the mountains. Now we look at the second stanza. We look at the first line of the second stanza. The wrinkled sea beneath him crawls. Here, the wrinkled is an adjective that reminds us about the skin of the old person. Here, the narrator says the sea is situated beneath the mountains, and the eagle is the sea is crawling beneath the eagle. And crawling is the another action of baby. Now we look at the second line of the second stanza. He watches from his mountain walls. Here, the mountain walls means here the word he watches from his mountain walls. Here the Dixon kiss suggests that the mountain is the eagle's mountain. So the word his suggests the ownership of the eagle with the mountain. But here the poet uses the word balls. Uses the word walls. Why poet uses the word walls? Because we all know walls give protection for everything. So the Tennyson thinks the walls also give protection for the eagle. He says he watches from his mountain walls, but the eagle watches from the mountain walls to catch its prey. So he watches from the prey from the mountain walls. Now we look at the last line of this poem. And like a thunderbolt, he falls. Here we can understand the eagle falls into the sea to catch its prey. The Tennyson thinks the eagle is not falls slowly. It falls very fast like a thunderbolt. We all know thunderbolt is a quick action and a strong action and a powerful action. So it falls into the sea like a thunderbolt. and catch its prey. Now we look at the poetic techniques of this poem. We already talk about the technique personification. Other techniques are hyperbole, simile, and metaphors. Hyperbole means the thing which we uh, know already practically. Here the poet says the eagle is being close to the sun. So we know this thing practically. So it is a hyperbole. And we have three metaphors in this poem. They are the eagle is considered as a human, and it is considered as a god and is considered the king. So these are the metaphors, and the simile also used here. In the last line, he says, "And like a thunderbolt he falls." Here, the word "like" shows that it is a simile. Simile is a figure of speech where two things are compared by using the words as or like. Mm, There are many themes used in this poem. The theme of this poem is beauty of the nature and uh, emergence of the nature. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Dharnia, for your presentation. Next, I would like to call Banian to do his presentation on the topic the lumber room.
Good evening, everyone. Today I am going to present about the short story The Lumber Room. The short story Cross the Lumber Room is written by the famous poet who is born on 1917, and he was very famous as Saki, whose full name was Etta Hugh Monroe. Um, this short story is also can be talk as a autobiographical of his this poet narrator, as in his life also the same uh, theme and situation is prevail in his lifestyle also, as he was left alone when he was a child, and he was taken care by two aunts called Charlo and Augusta, so that the two wicked aunts ill-treated his two siblings and him very in a bad way, so that he written this short story in a manner of as autobiography of his own lifestyle, but he modifies it by conveying the two characters called Nicholas and the aunt. But uh, Nicholas doesn't want to mention a name to the aunt, as he universally wants to say that all the adults are symbolizes as aunts here. So the boy is mentioned as Nicholas here, as a boy who represents the children, and the aunt who represents the world of adults, so that the clash and the contrast between the two major worlds of adults and children are portrayed in this short story in a very perfect manner. So that this in this short story, the little boy Nicholas, who is have a well clever and imaginative power, is seemed to be the protagonist of this short story, as he tempts aunt as a revenge, and aunt how he uh, fall into a trouble uh, by Nicholas in a funny way and in a humorous way. The narrator conveys the main theme of generation gap here, as nowadays parents ill-treats children and punish them hard with a lot of punishment, and they physically and mentally affected due to these activities, so that in order to this society, we can say that Hector Hugh Monroe has written this short story. So at the starting, seemed to be have already told you that the the main conflict of this story starts with a little boy called Nicholas. At the starting of as this conflict starting is the morning breakfast table. As usual, morning breakfast table is the place where all the people gathered in that day at first, so that in the morning breakfast table a conflict appears, so that it is irony that this all uh, even though all the people are eating together in the dining hall, as a conflict aroused in the morning at the beginning of the day, it should continue at the end of the day, so that this whole story should be in a conflict and in a at the starting it end as a humorous way. So at the starting, the reader can witness that the children were taken to a special treat to the stands of Jacaro, but Nicholas was not be at the party. So that reader might think, why should Nicholas was not to be at the party for as a special treat? As then the narrator says that he was in disgrace. Another question arose in the readers' minds as that why Nicholas is in a disgrace. A little child shouldn't be in a disgrace because uh, even he do any bad naughty activities, he shouldn't be in a disgrace. He should be very in a active way, and he shouldn't be punished in front of other children, because in a little age it should be a bad impact in his mental and physical appearance. So uh, in a little child called Nicholas, he was in disgrace is a very uh, bad way to tell that a little boy is in a disgraced manner. So at the starting of the morning topic, his the reason of why Nicholas was disgraced is clearly mm, ex- explained to the readers, as he had refused to eat his wholesome bread and milk in as he said that there was a frog in it. Um, But after the first paragraph ends, the older and wiser and better people had told him that there couldn't be possibly a frog. But the readers know that there is really a frog in the wholesome bread and milk in the bowl, as Nicholas had brought him from the garden and put it in the bowl in order to tempt aunt. But the reader can witness that Nicholas has made a plan, as he was an imaginative child and a clever child. The reader can say that could be a plan, but the older and wiser and better people can be said as irony, because even though they are older and wiser and better, they can't understand the reality of uh, is there a fraud or not. They are not practical, they are only theoretical in this way, so that in at starting of the morning breakfast, so the narrator wants to tell that adults are very bad in his attitudes, and they are very weak, and they are less imaginative than children. Children are clever than adults, and this idea is conveyed in the first two paragraphs. After that, this incident happens. Nicholas was not taken to the special treat, as he was in a disgrace of refusing the wholesome bread in front of everyone. So that after this, aunt talked to Nicholas that aunt seemed to be a bad character here, because he uh, done usually aunt take other children as a special treat to somewhere else, as when no, not to make every fun or enjoy themselves. Uh, she wants the misbehaving child should be punished as in this manner, so that aunt, in order to tempt Nicholas, he uh, immediately, as a special treat, he took the children to Jacobaro's sands, and he aunt tells Nicholas, and Nicholas aunt thinks that Nicholas will cry, and he will never mislead her, and he will be obedient in that manner. So, but as he is less imaginative, she couldn't understand the master plan of Nicholas to enter into the gooseberry garden, but and the lumber room. Lumber room is a place where old things and mysterious things are kept from the view of children. It only opens the door for authorized adults like aunts. So that for ages and years, the lumber room was kept uh, locked with a key in the library. But fortunately, Nicholas found the key and opened the door in the latter part of this story. Before that, the Nicholas' first attempt is to get into the gooseberry garden, but unfortunately, aunts found that Nicholas is going into the gooseberry garden, and she's told that no, you shouldn't be going into the gooseberry gardens. So Nicholas asks why not, but here the question why not is clearly indicates that the aunt might think that Nicholas is very greedy to get into the gooseberry garden, so that we should be very careful not to let him into the gooseberry garden as he was in a disgrace. So, as a this punishment, Nicholas was not taken as a treat to Jacoboro and not allowed to get into the gooseberry anyhow. So that this should be a very good punishment to Nicholas, the aunt thinks, but she was very less imaginative, so that Nicholas continued to execute his plan B. His plan A was getting into the gooseberry garden, but it failed as Aunt blocked the two entrance of the gooseberry garden with his watchful eyes. As it is very irony that just for Nicholas uh, uh, to tempt Nicholas, he loses his relax and mental uh, benefits as is do in the working in the garden. Usually, the aunts, when the children are not in the house, there should be a silent settings and the atmosphere. They should relax in and take a nap. But here, the aunt loses his fortune and his happiness for just for tempting Nicholas. It is very ironic that the aunt is losing his power of concentration just to punish children. This seems to be the universal idea of today's older generations, how they controls and manipulate children in this way. As this aunts keeping the two watchful eyes at the two entrance of this gooseberry garden, Nicholas immediately execute the plan B and taking the key from the uh, library immediately and get into the lumber room. As this before this also Nicholas have tried to practice how to put a key into the keyhole and turn at the school. So it should be Nicholas is very practical as he is doing everything as a practical manner, but the older people might only theoretical and with their experience they are talking as wrong in their manner. So here also indicates that adults are theoretical and children are good at their point as they are practical. Here is an example that Nicholas is very practical that he turned a key in the lock in the school in order to get more practice how to input a key into the keyhole, and he should like this he put the mischievous key which is brought from the library into the keyhole of the lumber room. Like this all happens, and after that the door opens and he was in a mysterious place, a mere material pleasure. The mere material pleasure diction says that he was in an unknown, unauthorized place which only allows adults. But the little boy who is very clever and he gets into the lumber room by his cleverness and intelligence. So it should be well clapped at this little boy, because even though the ants are uh, as a watchful wise, and he tempts and punish him very well to in order to revenge herself. But we should think that the other boys, children who are uh, enjoying in the Jagabora expedition are not that much intelligent, because they are only following the instructions of aunt. But this boy is a different one from the children's, because he want to revenge the aunts in order to punish him again. As this, he entered into the lumber room, and the sceneries was well expressed here, as he show so many interesting things like China dog and candlesticks, which and delightful things, hum-necked bulls, peacocks, and goblins, and the statues are very he. The imagination of Nicholas increased by these unseen things in the lumber room. So, above this, the picture and the tapestry of a hunting man and with two hunting dogs seem to be the best scene of the Nicholas imagination, because in that picture, the hunter with two arrows left in his backpack, and he was only shot a deer at the remote distance. But we should know that the hunter, in a very short distance, he could kill on one deer with a clean shot. But um, the Nicholas saw that there are four galloping wolves at the back of the hunter, and they are coming towards the direction of the hunter. But the even though in the reality the hunter doesn't show what is going on this situation, but the Nicholas is who is very imaginative can imagine that there can be many wolves in the bushes, or uh, when they made an attack, they can't be survived. But the possibility of getting survived by fighting against galloping wolves, and with only two arrows left in his uh, backpack, and he might have lose two of them. So that Nicholas really thinks the possibility of how to escape from this situation. It is very clear that Nicholas is very imaginative in this situation, because just in this picture, there is a proverb that a picture speaks thousands of words. Here also, this tapestry speaks a lot of meaning in the picture, because in the reality we couldn't find anything just like for wolves. But in this Nicholas point of view, um, it is very imaginative that there could be many wolves in the bushes. Here also the literary technique was stream of consciousness consciousness is used in this situation, as Nicholas in his mind thinks that there can be possibly a lot of wolves in the bushes, but narrator tells in a monologue way that there could be many wolves in the through the woods, and there might be more than four of them hidden behind the trees, and in any case would the man and the dog be able to crop to the four wolves they if they made an attack. This should be a question which arose in the mind of Nicholas, but he doesn't express his in a monologue way to the readers, as this story is in a third person omniscient point of view. The narrator express the real feeling of and the mindset and the feelings of Nicholas towards the picture is clearly portrayed in a third person omniscient point of view, as this can't be taken as a direct monologue, but it should be said as an interior monologue which utters in the mind of Nicholas. But in the literary way, it is called as stream of consciousness, as interior monologue of the mind of Nicholas is expressed as a direct monologue of the narrator. So the poetic technique, stream of consciousness, can be taken as the main poetic technique which is used in this short story. After this incident happened, suddenly the call of aunt aroused in this at the ending of the story, as and Nicholas stream, you are to come out of this advance. You are no use of trying to hide there. Uh, and we know that aunt is having a watchful eyes in the two sides of the gooseberry garden. We know that she might think that Nicholas creeped into the gooseberry garden, but we know that the readers know that Nicholas is in the lumber room, and he heard the voice of aunt screaming that Nicholas. So he immediately resolved everything he get from the lumber room and went to the into the gooseberry garden and asked who is calling. The question who is calling very irony that because Nicholas is also a manipulative character, because he all did this, and he knows that the aunt is calling as Nicholas, and Nicholas in the gooseberry garden with a repetition, but he is asking that who is calling, as he wants to tell this to aunt has he is very innocent, he like that. So me came the answer in the other side of the wall. Didn't you hear me? I have been looking for in the gooseberry garden, and I have slipped into the rainwater tank. Now the Nicholas had made another plan to in order to revenge aunt for his punishment. As we know that he asked a question who is calling, so that the aunt might think that Nicholas don't know so that he said the aunt said that I am the aunt who is in the rainwater tank. But Nicholas says that uh, asked that to aunt that I was told I wasn't to go into the gooseberry garden, but uh, we know that aunt told at the earlier point not to go into the gooseberry garden, but he now in order to get his work done, he told that I told you not to, but I tell you that you may. But here it is also very ironic that in order to his make his things done, and in order to his self-centered character is of art is clearly mentioned as he is changing the rule and the attitude of the children